Okay, we're gonna look at some merge requests and do some code reviewing. This one should be pretty straightforward. Add top margin to Amazon Q banner. Yeah, let's see what this is. Wasn't enough space above the Amazon Q banner. This MR adds some margin so it doesn't sit flush against the top of the page. So this one is right up there at the top. That one's just got a little bit of margin.
Hmm.
When there's an alert, like that. So from the code perspective, yes, oh, okay. Yeah. This is like I I'm good. I don't really
The
there's not
correlation.
really what'd you say, Safwan?
There was the correlation. I see the banner, but I don't see like I guess the class has the property, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this class is doing the margin top by three of our spacing units. And to me, I mean this in like a really good way. I don't super care about the look of it because this is just at the spacing level and things like okay, like it seems fine. But I do want I'm not the requirements owner of the look of it, so I want to ping UX to just say like, hey UX, are we good here? And then move on. So that's my approach here is
So
uh
code looks good to me, but like,
yeah,
is to the designers, is this something we should be doing?
yeah. Thanks for the advice for action fix. Okay. So I know that Emily is the one that was working on these because I was working with her. So I'm gonna see if she's available-ish. She seems available-ish. Could you please UX review this small UI change to add some spacing to the Amazon Q banner that shows up in the viewer page? Thanks. Sign reviewer Emily. Okay. All right. Is there anything I think that could go totally wrong here? Let me think for a second. What's the worst thing that can happen? I don't see anything happening that's the worst thing that can happen. It was
I
great
have,
that they also tested with alert banner. So do you all feel like there's something I'm missing?
hmm. Yeah, I don't see how the banner will crash production. But, but maybe I just don't see it. Like,
Yeah. Well, so like if we even if this was like a typo and wasn't the right key, like that's not gonna break anything, you know? So like we're adding a new thing. Like so in this instance, I could go the extra mile and test things out locally, but to me, the worst case scenario is like it's profitable to just keep moving forward. I'm not super worried about that. The so I've pinged Emily, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave an approval so that things can get merged when this looks good. Uh, thanks for picking this up. Doing changes look good to me. Approving. I've reached out to Emily for a um for a UX review to double check that the style sense the style change makes sense here. Sense we work on this banner. All right, now I gotta add a GIF. Let's do Miyamoto's thumbs up. All right, proof. Okay. All right, now I think this one's gonna be more interesting. Um, this one, change markdown multi-line quoting behavior on already quoted lines. So let's see what happens before here. when I quote. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting it to do that. So this is what's I guess currently happens. You hit the quote and it toggles them both. So that's interesting. Over here, I'm expecting it to add to them, right? Nice. Nice. That's a nice fix. Cool. Let's just double check. I'm so surprised that it says that. It does that. So I'm here. Oh, that's so silly. Okay. All right. So let's see how
But
we did that.
like it does make sense weirdly that it does that, right? Like if you're already quoted, we kick you out. If you're not quoted like a start.
Right, right. If I'm here, that makes more sense. It's like a toggle,
Yeah.
although it says insert a quote, even though it's a toggle. Um, I don't know. I'm assuming that let's see what the new behavior is for some of these edge cases. Um, so yeah, this is a very interesting one. Okay, there's not a lot of production code changes, so that's interesting. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Um, okay. All right. I can. This was from a previous code review, so I'm gonna reset everything. So I have the GDK running already. My favorite way of reviewing code is I curl the diff and apply it locally. Yeah.
Is that like a master or your own personal branch?
I'm on master. So this way I don't have to keep switching branches. I'm just always on master and I curl whatever the diff of the code that I'm reviewing and I could see how it affects master, which is what it would happen if when I merge.
Ah.
And what
Uh,
is like sorry, like if it's behind, if you're behind like you like pull first before you like get that particular patch?
so about every day I'm probably on the late that master for the day and I just kind of just stick with that. Unless I start seeing conflicts, then I'll pull. But I mean, because we get database migrations like every single day. If I keep bouncing back and forth between later and earlier masters, I'll have to keep like running migrations and it just slows. The GDK also has to reread all the Rails files and stuff. If I keep my branch on one place and I just keep working on top of those changes, I find that I have less headaches to deal with on the monolith.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, let's see what happens. So quote tag pattern allowed undo tags. I'm not entirely sure what that is. We'll explore that in a little bit. Okay. Should remove tags. What is this? What function is this? This is a big function. Insert markdown text. Inserts the given markdown text into the given text area. Warning, this is a bit of legacy code. Gotcha.
Oh,
So tag is the markdown tag we want to enter. Okay. Okay. So if we want to enter a quote tag and the selected, whatever is selected ends with tag, we're in should remove tags. Okay. How does should remove tags work? What does should remove tags do? Oh, get the selected without tags. Selected. You know what? You know what? Let's let's add let's add a debugger. Um, before I do that, let's um let's set up a little place for us to explore this. So I'm gonna go to a note that we can play around with and try this out. Okay. While it's loading. All right. Date file main go. So something funny, and this is probably, I don't know. I don't know if this is a I don't know if this is funny or not. Checking the log of this, Thomas reached out to me. Um, okay, so I guess my name is associated with this function, this gnarly legacy code function. So that's great. But then next to it too, we had at GitLab this one thing like, hey, we need subject matter experts to like identify themselves and things that you know, they're able to help out with. And I know that I included in there like legacy code. Like I'm the legacy code subject matter expert if something's super gnarly. But not that I'm actually I think I'm just an expert at writing legacy code. Okay. All right. So let's test this thing out. Boom, boom. Okay. Okay.
But like, what would you consider like, if you worked on a code base that's from like 2015, and you worked on it like 2024? Could you say that's legacy? Is there like a cutoff mark? I'm checking for myself because
I think here's the thing. Like humans, different code ages differently. Some code ages and it's still like working out, and it's like, wow, I hope that I when I get older, I hope that I'm like that. But then some code ages and they have to go to like, the legacy home for code.
There are respirators, helper function.
Yep, yep. Uh I think that's that's I don't know. I don't know. But then again, it's like, some code ages and there's multi-generational living and everybody just takes care of it. That's just how it goes. Even though it may not be able to take care of itself very well. All right. Let's um let's put a debugger to try to understand. I don't understand what this selected is and what is should remove tags actually going to be doing. So I'm going to add a debugger here. Okay. Let's refresh this and we'll open up the terminal. It's going to rebuild things, so it's going to take a little bit of time. While it's doing that, let me keep going. We're all allowed undo tags used too. So if I go here, it's only used here. Okay. All right. Okay. Now wait a second. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. If it starts with the tag and if it ends with this tag, okay. I'm gonna start a timer so I don't spend too much time doing this. We're gonna try a 10-minute time. Okay, and then we have this should undo quote, where if the tag equals that and selected split, I imagine is going to be split by lines. Let's see. Yes, selected split is split by lines. Should undo the quote if val. Okay, so if each one starts with a quote. So if this is an interesting change.
Just parsing this code block in my mind is really it's something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm.
He's really brave.
Okay. I know how I want to change this code. Um, all right. But let's see what that selected thing is. That so I have multiple questions going on. I have one thing I think we could do to simplify this bit and this bit. Um, I'm not sure what gets selected without tags. So here's the interesting thing is we're seeing now what I one of the approaches I see as I interpret how we change the legacy code is we're now doing a whole bunch of conditions based on whether we're doing a quote thing or not. So for instance, if I'm not in this legacy behavior, we fall back on, but if I'm in a quote tag, we're not doing this thing anymore. Get selected without tags. Um, and so here, like these are all these different ways that we've updated text to updates. But I kind of think so here we say get selected without tags, but we like nullify it if we're in a quote thing. I think we can simplify some of these conditions rather than doing these like breaking the condition inside of a complex Boolean logic thing or doing a ternary. Let's see if we can add an actual if around that makes it make sense. But before we move forward, I really want to just understand selected ends with tag and starts with tag. So I have here,
Yeah, like of the highlighted stuff.
I think it's all the highlighted stuff, but I'm not like totally sure. So here we're saying should remove tags is true. We start with the tag and we end with the tag, or tag equals the quote pattern. Oh, all right, let me think for a second. Okay, so it's gonna undo it. Nice. Okay, okay. But if I'm here and I hit the button, it's not gonna undo it because we didn't start with it. Okay, I see. Ends with was already there. This is another I see. So what we're basically saying is we don't care if we end with if we're doing the quote tag. We only want to do the removing if we are in starts with. I see. Okay. If selected length is greater than or equal to tag dot length times two, what does that mean? All right, I'm just gonna ignore that. So I guess we only gonna remove it. What that sounds like, that's really wild. That sounds like if I'm here and I hit the button, it's gonna increase it. Yeah. Did you see that? Isn't that a weird condition?
Yeah, it's like it fixes one thing, but it makes another thing look weird. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I think this is used because it's like we use this for like, if I'm doing something like this, like ABC, this when I hit the code button, we wanted to remove it. So it's all like all of the logic is all baked into this one thing.
Yeah.
Uh, which is clearly a little funny. But like, hey, we don't really care about this one if we're doing quote tag. I feel like I feel like we might want to just handle some of this stuff. I think we could do this differently. Okay, I'm understanding the changes a little bit better now. Um, I want to run the test. We're gonna see if we can refactor and keep the test the same. Um, well, I should probably check out the test. So removes quote tag. we have this initial value, we have text, we set it, insert it. We expect it to equal, what did text become? Where's text defined? Oh, I see. So we would expect it to remove the tag, and then here in multiple lines, indents quotes further, removes quotes correctly. Okay, so we only, I see. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the behaviors is captured with these tests pretty well. Now I think we just need to make a little bit more sense in the legacy code. And the author did a good job of having it fit into the legacy code nicely, but I'd like to make it a little more um, maintainable. So let's see if we can run this test. Did my timer go off? Now I got 2 minutes. We're gonna get this going. 2 minutes. Okay, all those things have passed. Great. All right. Okay. Quote tag. So we have this thing. Um, should remove tags, should undo quote, and get selected without tags. And we only do this if we should remove tags. So like how interesting is that? Okay, so if we should remove the tags, selected, we slice based on the length. Okay, and this is what we do. Okay, oh my gosh. So this is what we do when we have more than one line. But if we don't have more than one line, we're doing get selected without tags. If I don't have more than one line, well, let me think of that for a second. If tag does not equal quote tag pattern, oh, it's because it's at the beginning. Oh, got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Are you ready for my suggestion? All right. Here's how I'm thinking of doing this. Because these are pretty gnarly. I am thinking of moving these. Ah, my timer. Okay, we're gonna do 5 more minutes. Thinking of moving these to a new function that we will call uh function prepare insert markdown text. Okay. And we will take in selected and tag and selected split. And what this would allow us to do is something like if tag equals quote tag pattern. Now I can make more sense out of these. So I'm going to have return should remove tags if selected starts with tag. That's all,
Mhm.
right? Um, should undo. Now I don't know if I totally need to do this one, but we will. What was should undo quote you being used at again? Okay, so if the val index of tag. Okay.
I have a question. Do you mind, Paul?
Yep.
Just one takeaway I want to get from this before we go. It's like, so what you say about like a function that's big like this is legacy code, I know, but like it's kind of really like does a lot of heavy lifting to a lot of conditionals. Do you think it's something that's necessary, like given what it does, or originally we could have written it better in a way that we could have maintained it like easier? If that makes sense?
I think originally 100% could have been written better. So I know that some of this code comes from when this was all written in CoffeeScript too. And but then it grew like crazy, go nuts. So it's like it was already gnarly, and then it's like things already kept going. So it's like all of this, some of this is too, is like all of the logic is baked into here. So you have so many conditionals as opposed to abstractions of like maybe the tag has some behavior, define some things about it itself. It is more than just this type that we're throwing into there. Um, so some of our we have some more note logic. So this is like one of our more legacy note logic, but we have some later net note logic which introduces some abstractions, but that's can be a little bit more easier to maintain. But some of that code can also lean to where things are in these weird abstractions that are difficult to wrap your head around as well. Um, but
Yeah.
I think it's just difficult, but I do think like okay, part of it is when we're needing to do process a lot. Breaking things out into smaller functions helps, and that's what I'm going to try to suggest here, so we can make more sense of it. So I don't want to have one thing I don't want to have this just say should undo quote. I'm almost wanting to create something where um so we only want to be undoing the quote. Uh so oh my gosh, yeah. So it's like some of the stuff is oh man, this is old stuff. And this is even just doing a little linting fix. Like this is old. This is some of the oldest code at GitLab. Uh this is irritating because um it's going to replace even values of the tag that are used that aren't relevant to the tag itself. For instance, like so here if the tag was that, but then I'm using this actually in the content of that line, it's going to replace it as well. But I'm going to oh no, it's only going to replace the first one though, I guess, cuz not replacing all. So anyways, let's um okay, we're gonna change this to return a function called uh um be quiet. Okay. Uh add tag uh to line. Okay. And in this case, when we do our should undo quote, um, so we'll go ahead and say should remove tag from line. Um, should undo quote. We already know we're inside of here. This is if every single, yeah. So in our case here is um removing quote. we'll say should remove quote. So it's got to be a function, and we're going to return it like that. Um, okay, and then we have get selected without tags is going to be a function where we do selected slice tag length. So we're going to do all of this bit, but we'll be able to get rid of our. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Okay, we have all this, but I can get rid of this check, and it's just this. Yeah. Okay. And so then when I'm here, all of this legacy code remains untouched. Return should remove tags. And this, and we had this and this. So we've moved that over. We don't need, oh, but for, this was my point for this one. When I do remove tag from line, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this check here. Line, the line index of tag equals 0. And then get selected without tags is selected dot slice. We'll copy this.
One thing I'm happy about all this in GitLab and the legacy code is the fact that there's no TypeScript.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I worked the code base where it was originally in JavaScript. I was legacy. That's why I asked like 2016 because they
Yeah.
started like 2016 and then I worked on it 20 last year, 2024.
Yeah.
So we went back after and overlaid TypeScript on the JavaScript. So
Mm.
there were like a lot of like duct tape here and there, and like use of any that made things
Oh
a bit-
yeah. That's tough because
yes.
it gives you a false sense of security if you're doing it in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, they did it really well, to be honest, like given the task at hand. It's just that like it was just still really difficult because how for me how TypeScript really works with type is very loose compared to like a real like statically typed language.
It
So
is. Yeah.
yeah, it was interesting. It was difficult, but it was interesting.
All right. So I can get rid of all these. That was my point. Um, but now I've got some. So this thing is actually going to be if should remove tag from line, and we're going to pass in the val, which was our line. And then I think that's it. Yeah, our tests are passing, and now our conditions are a lot less funky. So it's like for a quote tag pattern, all this makes a little bit more sense. Except, so one thing is interesting is like, okay, should remove tags and should remove tag from line. What does that mean? So how does should remove tags get used again? What? Timer's not, you're supposed to listen to your timer, but sometimes I'm not doing a good job of that. Should remove tags gets used here. Okay, let me see how it gets used up here. All right, this is actually just, all right, instead of calling this should remove tags, I'm going to say should use selected without tags because that's then mirrors what this is called. So I'm going to call it that. Uh, So we'll say should use selected without tags. And then that's get selected without tags. Oops. And we'll put this at the top. So get selected without tags. And then this is going to be should use selected without tags. Um,
You mind if like I just see your function again, the one you made?
yes.
Uh, okay, cool. I see. I see.
But now I can actually remove, we added the quote tag pattern to allowed undo tags. We added this in order to support that one thing, which I don't need anymore. So that's interesting. And
For me now, like in the high level, I'm following your refactor in a high level, but still the specifics of what happens, to be honest, I'm still a bit lost on that, like this quote and that quote. But yeah,
yeah. So thankfully we have because this is legacy. So GitLab's, to GitLab's credit, like we've done a good job of, okay, this is legacy code. It's very hard to understand. So let's try to make sure we actually test the behavior of this thing and harness it down. So
Mhm.
some of that's good. I do think it's helpful. I think we want to uh what am I thinking?
Yeah, because it looks like your code, like, if you know what I'm saying, it's like a strategy type of stuff. Yeah, it's like if this, employ this selection quoting strategy,
Yeah,
and you rubbed all of that in the function, right? And then you now return like a function that determines how things should be selected. Does that make sense?
yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's something like that. Um Get selected without tags. Is that a function that we're actually calling? Oh yeah, we do. Yeah. So doing these refactorings is interesting because um I can add a note here. All right, note. Uh these legacy calculations um are moved to a separate function because it got too complex. They're adding some special behavior with quote tags.
I can imagine if you're working in like a military legacy code base, you see some weird if trajectory X, Y, this shoot missile on that, and then it's something.
Oh geez. Oh
And you check
geez.
in the next day.
Oh man. All right. Selected is a string. So some of these, yeah. Okay. String. Selected is the this is the selected bit of the X area here, which is to be replaced. String tag. This is the tag markdown tag we want to insert. Come on, please. Okay. Param select a string selected split. Now let me see where else. Oh yeah, we'll go ahead and leave it there. This is selected that has been split by split. And it returns. I'm gonna just make a note here. This function returns this function returns some um yeah, some strategy uh, values that form the rest of the legacy code how to behave. One, get selected without tags. This is a function that returns selected um, without the given tag. Should use selected without tags. This is a function, and then yeah, we'll do that. Note, this is only relevant in the multi-line. Oh, for the most part, this is relevant in a non-multi-line selection. This is a function that returns uh, whether or not we should use the get selected without tags. Note, for the most part, this is relevant only in a multi-line. Three, should remove tag from line. In a multi-line selection, this is a function that returns whether whether or not we want to remove the tag of the line. Okay, yeah. How do you all feel about this? You feel like it's good suggestions?
Yeah, I
Um,
like the position down to the function and like what I said earlier, most of what I got from that. Yeah, I mean, I probably have to take a look. Do you mind linking the MR? I
sure,
guess maybe I have
sure.
like a sometime I'll probably look at it again so I can remember what
Yeah,
happened.
Yeah,
yeah.
I kind of lost what the original like was.
Well, maybe it'll help. Yeah, so if we look at, yeah, we could like compare these things right next to each other. So here's an interesting thing. If I copy these, I might be able to then go to our new function and uh compare text with clipboard. And like I might be able to line these up to, I don't know, I'm not lining it up really well. But anyways, yeah, something like that. There's one more thing that's sticking out to me. And I will link to it, but there's one more thing that's sticking out to me. One is this tag value for the quote is coming from somewhere, but we felt the need to redeclare it here. So I wonder where the tag, I wonder if we have this already defined somewhere. Let me just do a project-wide search for that. Yeah, we just have it hard coded in some places. Oh my flopping Moses. Okay, that's fine. We'll just leave it at that. At least we're putting in a constant in here. Okay. So last little bit, I need to formulate this into a comment. But what I then do after I've made these changes, I diff and copy the diff to my clipboard. And I'm gonna hop into here. I'm gonna leave a suggestion. Um, Let me leave it up here so we get more of the context. I know. I'm almost done. Right. Uh, Suggestion. Uh, like man. Uh, well, these conditions of some are pretty legacy. Um, Thanks for carefully updating these with uh the quote tag pattern checks. I think we've passed a critical point where we need to extract some of this into a separate function. I opted to introduce a function pair, which will allow us to simplify the quote tag pattern. Which there's a patch for what I'm suggesting. Okay, copy it. Boom. All right. What do you think? Could you please review and apply this patch? Feel free to make any changes you see fit. Nice. Thanks for covering this with more specs. Okay, here we go. We're working on this. I left a comment for your consideration. Back to you. All right. Yeah. Well, that was that. Uh, any thoughts about it?
Traumatized.
There's some fun. There's some legacy code, man. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for hopping on and helping me out. Just even hanging out and let me talk it out loud is helpful, and so I appreciate your involvement. I'll post the recording, and I'll also share the link to the MR so you guys can dive into it if you want to. All right. Well, take care,
Definitely.
everybody. I'll see you around.
All right.